There's something unique about people who think deeply. They move through life at a different pace, pausing before they speak, drifting into their thoughts while the rest of the room reacts without hesitation. From the outside, they may appear distant, quiet, or even peculiar. But inside, their minds are constantly turning, linking ideas, questioning the world, and feeling every thought with an intensity most people never notice. Welcome to iUniverse, your sanctuary for spiritual growth and self-discovery. Hit subscribe and join our journey together. Deep thinkers don't navigate life by speed, they navigate it by depth. Every silence means something, every detail carries weight, and every moment becomes a doorway to further reflection. This can be both a blessing and a burden. Their inner world is layered and complex, shaped not by intelligence alone, but by the way they experience life, slowly, richly, and with attention most people don't reach. Take something as simple as a sunset. While others admire the colors, deep thinkers may start wondering how light bends in the atmosphere, or what it means that this exact moment will never repeat. That isn't overthinking, it's curiosity fused with awareness. Psychologists call this trait intellectual overexcitability, where the mind instinctively searches for patterns and significance even when it isn't required. It's like their thoughts are tuned to a higher frequency. Everything resonates more loudly and lingers longer. Silence, for them, is never empty. It becomes a canvas filled with memories, questions, and connections. They often replay conversations, analyzing tone and meaning long after the moment has passed. Their minds refuse to stay on the surface. They keep diving until they reach something that feels true. But this depth comes with contradictions. The same sensitivity that helps them see hidden patterns can make them doubt themselves. The more deeply they think, the more deeply they question. Studies on metacognition, thinking about one's own thinking, show that people who reflect intensely tend to experience more anxiety, but they also show stronger empathy. When you can imagine every possibility, you can also imagine every pain. Deep thinkers feel more because their mind notices more. Social situations can overwhelm them, not from disinterest, but from caring too much. They sense unspoken tension, pick up subtle emotions, and absorb the atmosphere around them. Retreating becomes a form of self-protection, because distance is sometimes easier than standing in the full force of unfiltered reality. Yet deep thinking is also an art. It's similar to a painter who works with colors no one else sees, mixing emotional shades only visible to the mind's eye. Einstein famously spent hours daydreaming, imagining himself riding on a beam of light. That kind of wandering mind is not unfocused. It's exploratory, imaginative, expansive. Virginia Woolf once described herself as rooted yet flowing, a feeling many deep thinkers understand well, grounded in reality, but mentally free to roam. Despite having plenty of people around them, deep thinkers often feel lonely, not because they lack company, but because shallow conversation drains them. They crave meaning, questions about life, purpose, emotion, not small talk. While the world rushes forward, they want to move inward. Their greatest strength is often listening. When they hear someone speak, they register tone, pauses, hidden emotions, and what remains unsaid. They naturally connect dots others overlook. Research on highly sensitive individuals suggests that deeper cognitive processing is linked to creativity, empathy, and strong pattern recognition. Deep thinkers don't simply respond, they reflect. They don't just think, They feel their thinking. But this constant mental activity is exhausting. Even when their bodies rest, their minds race. They lie in bed imagining future scenarios, revisit conversations from days ago, or break down the meaning behind an offhand comment. This looping pattern, known as cognitive rumination, arises because they seek closure in places where answers are rarely final. Every realization opens a new set of questions, creating endless mental pathways. Many deep thinkers turn to art, writing, or music as a way to process the noise inside them. Externalizing their thoughts softens emotional intensity. Psychologists note that expression reduces activity in the brain's emotional centers. When thoughts take shape outside the mind, they stop echoing so loudly within it. It's a misconception that deep thinkers are always serious or somber. In truth, they often experience joy more fully because they notice tiny, beautiful details others overlook. The smell of old paper, the way light hits a wall, a child's laughter. Their minds uncover poetry inside the ordinary. They think not in straight lines, but in spirals. One idea loops to another. One moment becomes part of a larger pattern. They look at a tree and imagine its roots, the soil, the seasons that shaped it. Meaning reveals itself inside these connections. If you've ever been told you're too quiet or too intense, understand this. Depth is not a flaw. It's a rare perspective. Yes, it makes life heavier, but it also makes it more profound. Deep thinkers don't just experience life, they interpret it. Interestingly, neuroscience suggests they experience time differently. The more detail your brain processes, the slower time feels. That's why silence feels alive to them, why memories feel vivid, and why moments seem to stretch. They're not moving slowly, they're experiencing deeply. Yet this depth creates restlessness. Once you've seen how vast the mind can be, surface-level living feels empty. Deep thinkers long for genuine connection, meaningful conversation, and authenticity. They struggle with superficiality because their minds are built for the depths of an ocean, not the shallows of a tide pool. And in the ocean, few people can follow. Their heightened awareness brings emotional fatigue. Feeling everything means even happiness carries weight, and even peace takes time to settle. Cognitive psychologists describe something called the complexity paradox. The more layers you perceive in life, the harder it is to feel simple joy. Deep thinkers often fall into this paradox. They notice beauty, but also the fragility beneath it. They feel love, but also the impermanence that comes with it. Despite this emotional heaviness, their courage lies in facing reality fully rather than looking away. They acknowledge life's contradictions and still search for meaning. They recognize beauty and pain as inseparable and continue to feel both. If you've ever felt your thoughts were too heavy or too abstract, remember, your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's intricate, sensitive, and powerful. Neuroscience refers to something called the default mode network, the part of the brain active during introspection and imagination. In deep thinkers, it tends to run almost constantly. This is why they can stare out the window and see stories, why solitude feels comforting, and why silence feels like home. They are often misunderstood, not because they lack emotion, but because they process more than they can express. They aren't quiet due to emptiness. They're quiet because their thoughts don't fit inside casual conversation. In a world obsessed with speed, deep thinking becomes an act of quiet rebellion. Taking the time to sit with emotions, to reflect rather than react, is one of the last forms of inner stillness. Deep thinkers break more easily, but they also heal in ways others can't. Reflection becomes resilience. By examining their pain rather than avoiding it, they learn, transform, and grow. Research shows that people who reflect deeply often develop stronger emotional endurance over time. The deeper you explore, the more you realize there is no final answer, and that's okay. The purpose of deep thought isn't to solve life, but to understand it. Deep thinkers create, write, ponder, and love with intensity because they see the fleeting nature of existence. They don't seek perfection, they seek truth. So if you are a deep thinker, don't apologize for caring too much or thinking too long. The world needs minds that question, hearts that feel, and souls willing to go beneath the surface. You're not too much, you're attuned. You're awake. Deep thinking isn't about knowing it all, it's about noticing what others miss. And in a noisy world, the ability to listen to silence, to feel it, interpret it, and learn from it, is a rare kind of beauty.